Every action anime has a character development, and a character development is the transformation of a character into a much more dynamic character over the span of an arc or series. In short, this shows how a character is changing. The development of a character adds meaning to the story where they come across both failure and success on their journey to attain the aim they have set. In this video, we'll be looking over the 10 massive character developments we have seen in anime. So buckle up because this is gonna be a lengthy ride. Number 10. Shinichi Izumi from Parasite the Maxim. Shinichi's character at the beginning was more like a shy, timid nerd protagonist, a high school student who got good grades and didn't cause any problems. He's a person who has isolated himself because of the emotional trauma he has gone through after injuring his mother in a cooking accident. You see, an incident isn't considered as traumatic because of the objective conditions. Instead, it is considered as traumatic based on your personal emotional experience during that event. Anyways, his character had the most extraordinary change after two main events. The first one was when his mother, which was basically a parasite in his mother's body, wanted to kill him, and his parasite fuses himself with his heart to save him, which affected his emotions since his parasite has a cold logic. He was unable to cry after realizing his mother had died and started losing the potential of being a caring person. The second event was when Kana died, which made him go into another phase of trauma as he fell into a state of despair, sorrow, and incapable of doing anything. But thanks to this old lady Mitsuyo who helped him to fully develop his character. He met Mitsuyo after he lost his parasite and she helped him realize who he was and that he's a human with emotions in him. And then the final battle happens where he fights against his enemy and wins. Of course he should win, or else what was the whole point for developing his character? Number 9. Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. In order for something to be obtained, something of equal value must be lost. Alchemy is subjected to this law of equivalent exchange. Scar was a monk back in his native soil and he was a completely devoted man. He believed that alchemy is a sin and that all alchemists are sinful as their immortal things, and for a long time he denied himself from reshaping anything by using alchemy, even when he had the potential to do so, and instead he destroyed things. Scar tolerated all kinds of terror during the Ishwal Civil War and he got stuck to the fact of getting revenge on all alchemists who were responsible for burning down his hometown and for slaughtering his people. So it was deemed for him to go on a one-man riot for years. But this cycle of hate was broken after he met Winry. Scar was responsible for Winry's parents' death. He was surprised by how Winry made peace with him despite knowing the fact that he was the one who killed her parents. Don't get confused here, she still hasn't forgiven him for what he has done, but she let go of the hatred. This brought up a change in him and he eventually joins the heroes. Now you might be wondering, why did he join the alchemist even for what they have done to Ishwal? Remember that his motive isn't to save Emestris but instead to change it, holding it reasonable for how they committed a mass genocide and to make sure that this event never takes place again. It's not easy to relinquish revenge. The Elric brothers did not agree to get their bodies back by using the Philosopher's Stone. The idea of human transmutation rebounds every time and there are a few things that cannot be accomplished. The law of equivalent exchange will not solve what you desire, and there will be a point of time where you will have to stop yourself from fighting back, even if it's unforgivable. Number 8. Dr. Kenzo Tenma from Monster. Monster is an anime so underrated that when I looked it up on Google, it provided me a result like this. The story of this anime revolves around how a young Japanese brain surgeon, Kenzo Tenma, is on a journey to fix the mistake he has made by saving a boy's life after realizing the extent of monstrosity executed by the boy. Tenma was frustrated with the political bias of the hospital in treating patients. He wanted to change this and kept looking for a chance until the luck was on his side as a massacre brought twins to the hospital and one of them was Johan. His meeting with Johan changed his life as he saved a monster whose aim was to create the idea of a perfect suicide. Tenma realized this fact after his 10 years of journey after committing the mistake and going into a moral dilemma. His character develops throughout the series as he sets out to find Johan and end the life of this monster. Tenma is a character who's put in a position which opposes ethics. He's a humanitarian where he sees all life equally valuable. His character keeps on developing as he battles with his own demons and that of Johan's throughout the story. Tenma's character develops in an environment which creates the idea of what is good and what is evil in many aspects. This is because we still start questioning over who the real monster is even after knowing the horrors committed by Johan. The fact is, the true monster cannot be depicted as a person or character of the series. We would have to explore the whole ancient context which is responsible in formation of such monster until we reach to the point of Adam taking into consideration the creation of men by God. Number 7. Iwatani Naofumi from The Rising of the Shield Hero. If you are an isekai lover and you like this anime instead of this one, man, I don't even know what to say, but you are uncultured. The Rising of the Shield Hero is an anime about how our protagonist Iwatani Naofumi, who was a useless shenanigan in the real world, got the role of the shield hero in another world after getting isekai obviously. Naofumi's character begins to develop from the first episode, and the reason for his development isn't some death of his beloved, but instead of being falsely accused of sexually abusing Malti, the world's most hated character. And because of this hatred that held no limits, his character took a change. Moreover, the development happened so quickly for us to notice, and the development took place in such a way that we had to start comparing his character with characters in Othello, a play written by Shakespeare. Why did we have to compare? The answer is simple. The way his character was developing felt as if he was going to turn into an antagonist. And the play had characters like Lago, Othello, and Desdemona that were completely similar to his way of development. Pretty reasonable for comparing. If he was to be an antagonist, he would also have done things the way Lelouch from Code Geass did. The truth is, Naofumi didn't have any wicked intentions, but rather pure hatred towards the king and Malti. The false accusations changed him forever. He was discriminated, disliked by the people of the kingdom, but despite that, he worked hard to be accepted, which makes him one of the best protagonists in anime. Number 6. Mob from Mob Psycho 100. This guy over here is actually this guy. That's right. Let's find out how. Unlike the other protagonists that pursue for battle, defeating villains, all Mob wishes is to live a simple life like an average middle school kid. Mob is a kid with godlike powers and is seen as a special being. In the beginning, he had no friends, he didn't even have the skills to communicate. All he did was a part-time job with Reigen Arataka, whom he sees as his master. As timid and introverted as he was in the first season, the more his character developed in the second season. He started talking to his friends, started socializing, and the most important point was him expressing his determination to change people for the good. Speaking of his powers, the Mob from season 1 was nowhere close to the Mob from season 2. His psychic powers increased to such a high level that we could notice it in his fight against Mogami. The relationship he had with Reigen cannot be forgotten because he is an important person in Mob's life. Despite just being a con artist and not being a real psychic, Reigen taught Mob how to control his powers and how he should try opening up to others. The way Mob's character develops teaches us a lot of lessons in real life. All problems aren't created equally, and that communication is the key to solve many problems. Life is the same for all. You end up doing the stupidest things when you are so desperate to prove yourself to others and to make people believe your point. Your insecurities will make you do things just to make yourself feel better. There is no point of getting stronger if you are not self-aware of what you are good at in life. So, what does it mean to be special? Can happiness really be derived from being special? And can such term really bring us happiness? Number 5. Uchiha Sasuke from Naruto. Sasuke is that kind of character that the fans either hate or love or maybe dislike him in the beginning and then start liking him ahead in the series. He went through most of the changes as compared to the other characters. I know that doesn't mean he's the most dynamically developed character in the series since it's personal to everyone. His character developed throughout the entire series. His decisions began to change as he kept on learning the truth. His motive to kill his brother in order to avenge his clan makes sense since Itachi not only tortured him but also manipulated him to seek more power. He also realized that he must find his own path since Itachi's techniques weren't compatible with him. After he learned the truth, he had two options standing in front of him: join Konoha and fulfill Itachi's dreams, or destroy it for putting a heavy load upon his brother. All his actions and decisions were filled with emotions and most of them made sense. Itachi also told that Sasuke was someone who can be dyed into any color. During the war, he realized that the whole world is bubbled up, to which he decided to have a revolution so he could recreate the world with him being its ruler to change the wrongings, as he believed that the root cause for someone waging a war is mainly because of some event that happened in the past. This really did make sense, but the way he viewed the world to be reformed wasn't the right way, and then the final turning point happens where he found faults in his motives and gave up on that journey. In the end, Sasuke is just a complicated character that people see as an emotional wimp, when in fact there's so much depth to his character as he changed his decisions the more he learned about the truth. From being a kid seeking for vengeance to growing up as an adult and choosing to be a protector and keeping on learning the truths about the world just shows how much he has developed. So yeah, he's one of the well written and well developed character in the series. Number 4. Katsuki Bakugo from My Hero Academia. Man, to be honest with you, I hated this jerk in the beginning. Since this jerk was a kid, he was praised by everyone around him, making him feel overly proud of himself, and it was stuck in his head of being superior to others. And whenever anybody tried to offer him help, he felt as if people are looking down on him and it pisses him off. When he entered into the UA Academy, he realized that he isn't the number one and there are much stronger people than him, especially when he saw Shoto Todoroki and how much stronger he was. He also thought that Midoriya was lying, keeping a secret about his quirk all these years and was laughing behind his back. This broke him down. Personally speaking, it low-key made me happy since this guy got a taste of his own pride. It broke him down since number one was his comfort zone and he always wanted to be praised and things. If he fails, everyone would laugh at him and it leads to him getting pressurized constantly and it eventually ends him breaking down at his weakest point. Bakugo mainly developed because of Deku, as he realized that looking down on others will never make you the best. You can put this into real life as well. If you constantly keep looking down on others, you are basically living under a rock and not encouraging yourself to come out in the open. And when you try to look at the world by opening your eyes for real, you'll just realize how dense and stupid you are. You will then try to look for your weaknesses and try to improve in those areas. This is how Bakugo developed and how he realized that he isn't strong enough and he must help others and accept help in return. He knows that he isn't the big fish in the pond anymore, which not only killed his high-tier ego but also gave him the view of becoming a much better person. Things don't end here. He isn't fully developed. He's still a jerk but tolerable, and he's still determined to accept only victory and nothing else. Number 3. Asta from Black Clover. Asta is a person who was born without magic, and in the Clover Kingdom, people with less or no magic are discriminated. Since he was a kid, Asta was determined to change this ideology and prove that people with no magic can touch skies too. And because of this commitment, his character developed both in terms of strength and personality. Let's skip to the time where his character started developing with a major impact. After his meeting with the captain of the Lions, he learned that before making a choice, he must study the situation calmly. He also learned that surpassing his limits isn't equal to being reckless. The way he developed and the acts he performed had a positive influence on the commoners and a few nobles as well. He possessed a never give up attitude. Asa's character will develop in terms of strength throughout the series as he will be facing more and more tougher opponents. He will never give up the dream of becoming the Wizard King. Sounds too cliched since these words are coming from someone who doesn't even have a tiny bit of magic in his body. My man's personality is just strong since the beginning because of the fact of being someone with no magic, and he can easily overcome the ones who try to look down on him. I know this will sound super confusing, but the more immature he acts, the more mature he is. That's because he knows his position is the lowest in the society. He knows that in order to compel others, he has to assist his words with actions. And more importantly, he knows that he has to work harder than anyone else to achieve his dream. So those who keep on saying that Asta has no character development, it's probably because your expectations weren't met. And I would kindly ask you to rewatch the anime or read the manga and decide for yourself. At the second place, we have Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Yeah, stop it. I knew you were expecting this guy. Imagine the year is 2013 and if I would have told you this pipsqueak would turn into this guy over here, you would have just laughed at me. But it happened. Yeah, in season 4. Eren started off just like the other normal protagonists in anime with a dedicated goal set in his mind, but his personality and mentality changed after realizing how cruel the world is. He never saw failure as a possibility and that's why he used to fail most of the times. He keeps on constantly facing the truth of the real world, and after the female Titan arc, he decided to act on his own to win. Regardless of being mentally haunted by his past experiences, he just moves on. Eren grows in character but still doesn't give up his goal. He realized that he himself and the others must suffer in order to keep moving forward, and that's why he pretty much accepted Armin's death until he saw Levi with the serum. You see, Eren follows the ideal that says when good people are born in a rotten world, they'll do whatever it takes to fix it, even if they have to be the villain and destroy themselves and everything that stands as a barrier. That's exactly what happens in season 4. He's seen more as a villain instead of a hero. He was ready not only to kill the enemies but also accepted the deaths of the innocent that will happen. In short, a mass genocide on Malians. Similar to just what Hitler used to do. Both are evil. But is Eren actually like Hitler? The answer would be no. No matter how much he developed, Eren cannot be like Hitler. It's because Hitler was smart, he had plans, methods, and made crazy promises to protect and save people from the economic depression, and he used to lead them. Eren doesn't lead. He does things on his own and asks others to join him just to destroy Marley. No matter how much we change, we do not become a different person. We just evolve, with good or bad being subjective for the basis of evolution. Eren isn't perfect. His flaws are heavier, but he fixed a few of of them. His development can be seen clearly with an open eye. From being a whiny little brat to an emotional psychopath with too much burden on his shoulders, focusing on destroying anything that stood against Eldia, Eren Yeager, a man of many names, really did have one of the most dynamic character development in the anime universe. And finally, at number 1, we have Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. If there's one thing we should learn from Tokyo Ghoul, it would be to never judge a book by its cover. I mean, just look at what Reason did to Kaneki. Ken Kaneki's character at the beginning was like an average college student who is quiet and likes reading, a typical guy who is easy to get along with. His character started to progress through both good and bad experiences after his transformation into a one-eyed ghoul. His character had the most greatest impact after he was abducted and tortured by Jason Yamuri. And it was at this moment he left his previous ideology of being hurt rather than hurting others, and this is how he not only killed Yamuri but also devoured him. His hair turning white was clearly because of the Marie Antoinette syndrome, and the victims of such syndrome are the ones who have felt a strong pain and sense of fear. His character developed in such a way that he was too brutal and merciless towards his enemies. In spite of being cold and ruthless and also being brutal and merciless, Kaneki was capable of showing his gentle nature towards people he cared. His loyalty and devotion towards people he cared never changed even after enduring all the anguish. As his character progresses, he tries to find balance between who he was and who he is now. But to find that balance, he has to figure out which one is which. This situation might break down a normal character, but Kaneki is different. Due to his constant persistency, he bears all of it until he gets to the root of it all. Kaneki is an interesting character with too many complexities and also someone who underwent through several struggles in his life. A person who felt happiness, fear, pain and everything a human can ever feel. One of the very deepest characters who never gave up and chose to stand still every time. Ara, I see you have watched the video until the end. Hajime mashite minasan, this is Dyingpa here and I hope you all love this first video of mine, and I'm focusing on creating much more content like these, so stay tuned. If you all love this video, you know the grind. Like, share and subscribe. Take care and stay safe. Until next time.